Welcome to ACES, Experience Kyoto. ACES stands for Aging and Caregiving, Engagement, and Support. This program series from Wheaton Public Library provides a consolidated source of reliable local information and engaging programming for our community's older adults. My name is Barry Erickson, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator at Wheaton Public Library. In April 2023, I had the privilege of traveling to Japan. This presentation was inspired by Tales and Travel, a series of programs designed by retired academic librarian Mary Beth Riedner. In this program, we will take a virtual armchair tour of Japan and play a trivia game. At the end, there will be discussion questions, and I'll share links to YouTube videos for you to explore and learn more about Japan. Let's start with a virtual tour. Sit back and relax as I tell you all about the images on your screen. First, we fly from Chicago to Tokyo. It takes almost 12 hours. While on the plane, I'll try to learn a few phrases, but please be patient with my poor pronunciation of Japanese words. Next, we take a Shinkansen, or bullet train, from Tokyo to Kyoto. These trains travel up to 200 miles per hour. Even by bullet train, it takes around 2.5 hours. A round-trip ticket costs about 28,000 yen, just over $200. I took this quick video to show you how fast these trains really go. Kyoto is Japan's oldest city. It was the nation's capital and the emperor's residence from 794 until 1868. Due to its historic and cultural value, Kyoto was largely spared by bombings during World War II. It is home to around 1.5 million people and almost 2,000 temples and shrines. Here is our hotel room in Kyoto. We left our shoes and lockers in the lobby. Throughout the hotel, we will wear socks or the free slippers they provide. Notice the tatami mats on the floor and the shoji screen on the window. The bed and bench are quite low. There is even a beautiful fabric-covered box for the TV remote. Let's explore the historic district of Kyoto. Samurai ruled Japan during the Edo period from 1603 to 1867. Like medieval European knights, samurai warriors were bound by a strict code of honor and were fiercely loyal to their clan. Historic samurai districts feature mud and wood walls, tile roofs, entrance gates, narrow lanes, and shallow canals. Nomura House is the preserved mansion of a prosperous samurai. It displays traditional tatami mats on the floor, painted screen walls, and a lush garden with a pond just beyond the living area. Nearby is Gion, the geisha district. Since the Edo period, geisha entertained nobility and wealthy merchants by performing dances, playing traditional instruments, and engaging their guests in conversation. These refurbished buildings now contain restaurants, tea houses, and souvenir shops. Young Japanese women enjoy renting beautiful kimonos and walking around the Gion district. Let's watch a traditional geisha dance. Shinto and Buddhism are Japan's two major spiritual practices, and they coexist harmoniously here. To understand some of the differences, we'll visit both. Shinto shrines always have a torii gate, which symbolizes the transition from mundane to sacred. This is the Namayoki Inari shrine. The deities worshipped here protect against misfortune. It is the guardian shrine for the nearby fish marketplace, and its workers often stop here to pray. The Handen is the main building, which contains objects of worship in which kami deities reside. On the left, we are standing outside the Handen, like most worshipers stopping for a brief visit to the shrine. The photo on the right shows the area for worship and all the relics inside. To practice the prayer ritual, first place an offering, usually a few coins, in the big wooden box in front. Bow deeply twice, clap twice, pray silently, and then bow once more. This Shishi lion head is a deity for protection, thought to scare off evil spirits. This one weighs over 2,000 pounds and is carried through the streets during a festival once every 3 years. While we are looking at Shinto shrines, we have to visit Fushimi Inari Shrine. Inari is the god of rice and patron of business. This shrine is famous for the hundreds of torii gates that line forested paths up the mountainsides outside Kyoto. The gates were donated by individuals and companies from just 800 to over 1 million yen. So that's around $6 to more than 8,000 US dollars. The donors' names are shown here on the back of the torii gates. As we walk up the steps, we pass this area with smaller gates. Very simply, Shinto has 8 million deities based on natural phenomena. The purpose is seeking blessing and protection for family and community. Buddhism, founded by Buddha and originating in India, is actually not a religion. The goals of Buddhist practices are enlightenment and deliverance from suffering. Now that we have seen both small and large Shinto shrines, let's visit a large Buddhist temple complex, Kiyomizu-dera. This temple was founded in 780 on the site of a waterfall, which is now the source of its purification fountain. For the purification ritual, take the scoop in your right hand, pour water into your left to purify it. Then shift the scoop from your right to your left and purify your right hand. Take the scoop in your right hand again, pour water into your left and rinse your mouth. Lastly, purify your left hand again. It sounds complicated, but if you watch people doing it, you'll get the hang of it. Throughout this temple complex, we see several gates, halls for worship, and pagodas. Buddhist temple gates are larger and much more elaborate than the simple Shinto torii gates. Temple halls enshrine objects for veneration, and pagodas, like the one on the right, house relics and the remains of Buddhist leaders. Kiyomizu-dera Temple is famous for its handen, or main hall, built on a cliff. There's a large veranda for visitors with views of Kyoto and the wooded mountainside. This hall was built in 1633 with locking wooden joints and no nails. The columns and rails form a scaffold-like structure that make it highly resistant to earthquakes. Todaiji Temple, originally constructed in 752, is one of the world's largest wooden buildings at 187 feet long and 157 feet high. It houses a 500-ton Buddha, the largest bronze statue in the world. And just so you have a sense of the size, I'm going to point to the little tiny people in the photo way at the bottom here on the left. No trip to Kyoto would be complete without a stop at the Golden Pavilion, Kinkaku-ji Temple. Originally the villa of a wealthy shogun, it became a Zen temple according to his will after his death. The top 2 floors are covered with gold leaf, and it's topped with a gilded statue of a phoenix. Speaking of gold, this area of Japan is famous for gold leaf. All the way on the left, this samurai uniform and the entire wall behind him are gilded. At a gold leaf factory, we see how gold is hammered into very thin sheets and then cut into perfect squares. In Kyoto, you can even taste a gold leaf decorated ice cream cone or buy flakes to add to your coffee or tea from a vending machine. Speaking of food, let's stop for lunch. Specialties include sashimi and tempura. Sashimi is thinly sliced raw fish without rice, unlike sushi. Tempura is deep fried seafood and vegetables with a light, crispy batter. Meals often include miso soup, too, sometimes with noodles. Just a short bus ride from Kyoto is the mountainside town of Arashiyama. Let's take a boat ride along this shallow river. The boatman is going to punt along using a pole, just like the gondolas in Venice. It's very relaxing, and the trees display every shade of green in the springtime. Once docked on these rocks, we climb 250 steps up to small, remote Senkoji Temple. Here we meet with the temple's sole resident, a Zen Buddhist monk, for teaching about Buddhism, silent meditation, and a simple tea ceremony. Before returning to Kyoto, let's stop to walk through the Arashiyama bamboo grove. It's very peaceful with the dense bamboo forest stretching in every direction and towering above our heads. This kind couple invites us into their home. Naohiro was a middle school principal and coached baseball for many years. He inherited this elaborate shrine shown on the right from his parents. It is prominent in their living room, and he worships here every morning and evening. Raiko lets us try on one of her yakata, or kimono-style robes. Then she plays a simple song on this 13-string koto. She learned to play this instrument when she was young. The couple shows us Japanese crafts like elaborate mizuhiki. This on the left, this woven and knotted cord decorated an envelope containing a monetary gift for their daughter's wedding. Raiko also guides us through the steps to make origami cranes, like the ones on the right. No trip to Japan would be complete without a visit to their carefully landscaped gardens. One of the largest, Kenrokuen Garden in Kanazawa, is known for water features, ancient trees, and stone lanterns. You can see in the picture in the middle, the tree is being supported by poles up from the ground and the water to keep it upright. In the spring, we find wisteria, irises, cherry blossoms, azaleas, and camellias, all in bloom. It's gorgeous. Japanese castles look somewhat different from those in Europe, but they served many of the same purposes. Kanazawa Castle and Niho Castle in Kyoto have moats, tall stone walls, and fortified gates to protect the inhabitants. Inside, nightingale floors squeak with a bird-like sound when stepped on as a security measure to warn of intruders. These castles also displayed the wealth and power of the lord or shogun through lavish architecture and decoration. Just look at these wood carvings painted in beautiful colors. Before we head home, let's shop for souvenirs. There are pedestrian malls, like the one all the way on the left, open air markets, like the fish market in the middle, discount stores crammed with merchandise, so much that they have to put signs on the floor to help you find the cashier, and beautiful high-end stores, like the one all the way on the right. T-shirts, toys, and candy make great gifts. In fact, we found many varieties of Kit Kats, including matcha flavor, like the tea, milk tea, sesame, and a combination of orange and chocolate, which was our favorite. Maybe we'll splurge on one of these beautiful items. Clockwise, we see a beautifully designed thread ball, ceremonial gong, a metallic thread scarf, a lacquered gold leaf box, and finally, an inlaid wood cutting board. Japan has certainly been a feast for the eyes. Thanks so much for traveling with us. Now let's play a trivia game. There are 15 multiple choice questions. If you want to keep track of your score with a pencil and paper, you could pause the video here to gather those supplies. I will wait a few seconds before revealing each answer, but feel free to pause the video at any time if you want a little bit longer to think. Are you ready? Question 1. What is the current capital of Japan? A, Osaka, B, Kyoto, C, Tokyo, or D, Beijing? It's C, Tokyo. Kyoto was the capital until 1868. Tokyo's original name was Edo. What you see in the picture is the Shibuya crossing, which is pretty famous. It stops all of the traffic, and then people just are in hordes crossing about 5 different directions. Question 2. Which sacred animal can you find in Nara Park? A, fox, B, deer, C, monkey, or D, crane? It's B, deer. In the Shinto religion, deer are considered messengers from the gods. Question 3. Which is not a typical Japanese dish? Is it A, udon, B, sushi, C, tempura, or D, kimchi? D, kimchi. Kimchi is a Korean dish made from fermented cabbage and other vegetables. Udon are thick Japanese noodles made from wheat flour. What you see in the picture are a couple of varieties of sushi, the typical rolls with seaweed around the outside, and then nigiri, which is like a rectangle of rice with a thin slice of raw fish on top. Question 4. What does a geisha do? A, perform traditional Japanese songs and dances. B, serve diners in Japanese restaurants. C, write traditional Japanese poems. Or D, lead Zen Buddhist meditations. A, they perform traditional Japanese songs and dances like the video we saw. An apprentice geisha is called a maiko, and an apprenticeship takes around 5 years to complete. Question 5. What is Fuji the name of? A, mountain, B, a bamboo forest, C, a river, or D, a city? It's a mountain. Fuji is an active volcano and the country's tallest peak at 3,776 meters, or almost 12,400 feet. It's often covered by clouds, so if you happen to visit and be able to see the top of the peak, you consider yourself very fortunate. Question 6. Which 2 religions or spiritual practices coexist in Japan? A, Catholicism, B, Buddhism, C, Shinto, or D, Hinduism? B and C, Buddhism and Shinto. Shinto is as old as the Japanese culture, while Buddhism was adopted from India and China in the 6th century. Question 7. The Japanese celebrate the blooming of which flower? A, wisteria, B, lotus, C, chrysanthemum, or D, cherry blossom? The answer is D, cherry blossoms. Hanami is a celebration where people hold parties under the short-lived cherry blossoms as they bloom. It's usually in late March or early April. Question 8, we're about halfway through. What are graphic novels called in Japan? A, manga, B, origami, C, nigiri, or D, anime? The answer is A, manga. Sales of manga comic books and magazines in Japan were estimated to have hit a record 677 billion yen, or $5 billion in 2022. If you were thinking of anime, that's close. That's where those are the films or the movies. Question 9. The Shinkansen is a famous Japanese A, temple complex, B, garden, C, bullet train, or D, theater district? The bullet train. C. The fastest bullet trains in Japan travel as fast as 374 miles per hour. They are incredibly efficient and punctual, with delays rarely over 12 seconds. I've heard that they even give rebates to their commuters, their customers, if they're really late. Question 10. Ikebana is a Japanese art using A, paper, B, gold, C, wood, or D, flowers. It's D, flowers. In Ikebana, flowers and other natural elements are placed in such a way as to embody harmony, peace, and beauty. All right, we've got 5 more questions. How are you doing? Question 11. What percentage of people living in Japan are aged 65 or over? Is it A, 17%, B, 29%, C, 6%, or D, 36%? The answer is B, 29%. Japan is aging faster than any other country in the world. Life expectancy in Japan is age 85 compared to 79 in the United States. Question 12. What is it extremely common to see on city streets in Japan? A, fast food chains, B, water fountains, C, vending machines, or D, trash cans? It's C, vending machines. More than half of the 4 million vending machines in Japan sell beverages. Often, both hot and cold drinks can be purchased from the same machine. And you'll have to look really hard to find a garbage can, even though there's no trash or garbage anywhere in the streets. They're so clean, you won't find a garbage can. You'll need to take your trash with you. Question 13. What do you typically pass entering a Shinto shrine? A, a torii gate, B, stone lantern, C, a pagoda, or D, a lion statue? It's the torii gate. These gates serve as the boundary separating the sacred space from the mundane world. And I understand that it's best to pass along on the outer edge or the side, and because the center is reserved for the deities. Question 14. What is the Japanese drink sake made from? A, soy, B, plums, C, rice, or D, green tea? The answer is rice. These are sake barrels on display outside of a Shinto shrine. The brewing process of sake makes it more similar to beer than wine, but it has a much higher alcohol content than either, at around 18 to 20%. Last question. Number 15. What do you do in an onsen? A, prune bonsai trees. B, picnic under cherry trees. C, play an arcade game. Or D, bathe in a hot spring. bathe in a hot spring. Japan's over 100 volcanoes produce approximately 25,000 hot spring sources. Around 3,000 onsen establishments use naturally hot water from these mineral springs to create popular spas and resorts. Well, I hope you enjoyed the trivia game. I'm sure you did well. Here are a couple of discussion questions. You could pause the video here to discuss these with those around you. These are links to YouTube videos to experience more Japanese culture. You could learn a few phrases, watch a tea ceremony, follow along with a sushi chef, or write a haiku poem. If you would like these links in an email so you can just click on them, email me at ce@wheatonlibrary.org. That's CE for community engagement at wheatonlibrary.org, and I'd be happy to send them to you. Well, we had a fun tour of Japan and a trivia game. Thank you so much for exploring Japan with us. Hope to see you at another Wheaton Public Library program soon.